Hello, and welcome to another episode of East of Ethnia, and greetings from sunny Belgrade, where I've come for a little bit. And it seems that I've come at a time of escalation. And I'm not talking about the kind of escalation that's being promoted by the sleazier part of the British right-wing media, where the editor comes and shows up in a perfectly peaceful place and records some kind of talk while wearing a flak jacket to show how dangerous things are. I'm talking about a different kind of escalation, particularly because the General Assembly of the United Nations is going to be debating a new resolution on Srebrenica, which has led to a lot of different types of argument and different types of dispute going on here in Serbia. So I want to talk to you about that a little bit. But first, because I think that not everybody has seen the text of the resolution that is being proposed and might not be familiar with what it's saying. There are a lot of claims being made about the resolution. So I am going to show you the resolution, and I'm going to do that by sharing the screen right here. So this is the text of the draft resolution, and I'm not going to read the text out to you. You're perfectly able to read it yourself. Let me just go over the main points. So it's a day of reflection and remembrance. This is modeled on an earlier resolution that was passed to declare a date of reflection and remembrance for the genocide in Rwanda. It condemns denial and affirms the facts. It condemns glorification of crime. It goes on to refer again to the process of investigation and establishing facts, especially about the fate of victims. It reminds state to comply with the Genocide Convention, requests that the United Nations have activities related to remembrance, and it invites the member states of the United Nations and NGOs and so on to observe the day that is being declared. So that is it. That's the whole thing. I'll put a link to the text of the resolution in the comments to the video so that I don't have to keep it up, and I'll stop sharing the screen now. Let me talk then about the responses to this that have been going on from here. First, you have had a set of responses from the president of Serbia, Aleksandar Vučić, who is now given up on appearing to be a Western-oriented progressive interested in membership in the European Union, and is going back to his roots in the Serbian Radical Party when he was an advocate of genocide, promising to have killed 100 people from another side for every one person from one side that was killed, in a nice little echo of an earlier threat. And he is engaged in a diplomatic offensive. In particular, he is trying to engage with governments in Europe that he thinks will be sympathetic, working very hard on France as well as governments in states of Africa and Asia that he considers to be sympathetic, to try to see that this is not passed with 2/3 vote in the General Assembly. And he's also tried to use this occasion to promote the narrative of victimization that has been popular since the 1990s as a kind of national cause, with Vučić that has a special interest, is that the people, the nation that he claims to represent, are victims, but most of all, he is a victim because he sacrifices for these people and nobody appreciates it. And that's why his press conferences look like public therapy. And this is all in the interest of preparing to contest the local elections and the new repeated elections for the Belgrade City Council that will be held in June, and where it looks like his chances may be poor, especially if he accedes to the demands for election reform that would assure that the elections be fair. A similar thing you see happening, and you saw a large rally yesterday held in Banja Luka in the actions of Republika Srpska, the smaller entity of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, where Milorad Dodik is staking his political career on opposition to this and opposition to the assertion of power by the central government of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So he held a large rally in Banja Luka. People were bussed in from the rally from around his part of Bosnia Herzegovina, of Republika Srpska. State employees were bussed into the rally. State employees of Serbia were brought across the border and bust into the rally to assure an audience of about 50,000. And the familiar complaints were repeated. And he's done some other things to escalate. He adopted this fraudulent report by the former historian Gideon Greif, denying the facts of Srebrenica. A resolution was passed in the assembly affirming that report as truth. I wrote earlier about the report and did an analysis of some of his claims. It's not just that it's false, it's also just a bad piece of work, bad writing. I'll put a link to that in the comments below this this video. He's had passed through the parliament an election law, which in violation of the Constitution gives Republika Srpska control over elections that are supposed to be controlled by the government of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Now, what Dodik is doing is playing on his isolation. He's no longer able to count on the assistance from Russia that he once was able to count on, because Russia is weaker than it was due to the war in Ukraine. China is not quite ready to step into the role of supporting him. It's a bit too controversial, and Chinese diplomacy is, for the most part, has been trying to avoid alienating possible future partners in Europe. So his only ally is, first, the government of Serbia, controlled by Aleksandar Vučić, and second, his ability to create outrage and a sense of threat and fear among the population where he is elected. Without those, now he is over. Now, what does this resolution do if it is so controversial? Look, what it does, it affirms what facts that are known and encourages respect for those facts. And here I have to say, the question of whether a genocide occurred in Srebrenica is not a controversial question. This is a question on which researchers have established the facts. It's a question on which courts have established the facts. The only place in which it's controversial is in the political environment, or the portion of the political environment controlled by the ultra-nationalist right in Serbia and Republika Srpska. So it establishes facts that are not controversial, and in doing so, it's responding to some of the recent events in the conflict in Gaza and in the war in Ukraine that are probably going to have the effect of expanding the way in which courts understand the definition of genocide beyond the very narrow definitions that the courts applied in the former Yugoslavia and in the Rwanda cases. And we're going to see, I think, probably in the case of the war in Ukraine, affirmation of genocide on the basis of the clause identifying removing children from one group to be raised as members of another group. And in the case of Gaza, we're going to very likely see courts affirming that genocide includes what is described in the clause of the Genocide Convention as creating conditions of life that contribute to the destruction of the group. What the resolution does not do is the sorts of things that that are being claimed by politicians in Serbia and Republika Srpska. That is, it does not accuse any state of any particular deed. It certainly does not accuse any ethnic or national group of anything. Those are not legal entities, and it does not create any obligations for any states or for any parastates. So why is there so much noise, and why is there so much insists that this is a motion to contribute to collective responsibility? It's because they're okay. Collective responsibility is a question that we can debate, but there isn't collective guilt. That is the guilt for the large-scale genocidal murder of men and boys from Srebrenica in 1995 is guilt that attaches to the people who planned, who ordered, who financially and technically supported, and who carried out the crime. That is identifiable people. So if we're talking about Serbia as an ethnic group, Serbia as a nation, Serbia as a country, ordinary citizens of Serbia are not complicit in this genocide. Children in Serbia are not complicit in this genocide. You know who's complicit in this genocide? Aleksandar Vučić, who is a high-ranking member of a political party that argued in favor of genocide at the time that it was committed, and Milorad Dodik, who was opposed to the nationalist program in 1995 when the genocide was committed, but has since actively participated in processes of denial and in glorification of crime. So that's why they feel identified with this, and they want all of the citizens to feel identified in the same way that they are, and the citizens don't need to because they're not them. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again soon.